Hi. Hello. I hope all of you can hear me. Can somebody just confirm? I can see some people already there. Ahilesh says hello. Hi, Ahilesh. Can you just confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, Brijesh, yeah, we can hear.
You can. I am just confirming with the audience, yes, as well. Faiz, thank you. Well, all right. So, welcome to another episode of What Lies Beneath Ask Me Anything. And today I have a very special guest on a very special occasion. Let me first talk about the occasion. The occasion is special because this is the first AMA of 2022. Yes. Unbelievable, isn't it? 6 months gone, but here we are back again. So I am trying to get back into the scheme of things. And like I said, I have a special guest to kick this off. I have with me KR, one of my good friends, whom I have known for quite some time now. And he is the founder and CEO of TestSigma. KR, I have known him personally for some time, like I said, a very humble, down to earth, soft spoken guy. One of the most soft spoken people that I have come across, but he's got some wonderful things going on. So, KR, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brijesh, and thanks for giving me an opportunity to be part of your show. Like after, like as I said, like it's kind of almost restart for you, and thanks for having me here.
No,
And this
it's
specific.
wonderful. Actually, it's actually wonderful that I had this opportunity, and in fact, we have been talking about doing this for quite some time. Yeah, so somehow the stars were not aligning, but I finally said no, we have to get this going. So yeah, so before the audience can start pouring questions, well, for the audience, you can ask whatever you want, whenever you want to KR, and he'll be willing to answer that.
Yeah.
I hope there are no questions for me though. so, so yeah, and we will take your questions as we go along. I don't want to wait till the end. So
Yes.
I have some questions up front. KR, let's first tell the audience about your journey into testing. How did it get started?
Great. Yeah. Let me start. So like you call me by KR, but like if you see my full name is Rukmangada. I was a developer. I'd spent like little over 12 years before starting this as a developer. Worked for multiple product companies, mostly based out of India. This is a very interesting problem that I found when I was like really working for all these companies and also talking to a couple of my friends outside my work, right? And I'll keep it very short, long story, but to keep it short, right? And I was looking at the solutions out there, and I was leading a tech team in HPE, and we were building a product from scratch. And what I realized that is like we took about like a year to build a product, but in parallel there was a test automation team, and they were taking a lot of time. It's not their fault, as right, and it's because of all the problems that we see with the existing test stack. There are too many moving components, and we'll have to it's kind of a literally building your own product from scratch, right? And it's kind of a build your own stack. So it's not as simple as like what you see, right? And though there are like a lot of frameworks like Cucumber, Robot, and JUnit, and all of them are other. But you need to put an effort to bring all of them together, and then put all of that into that ecosystem. Otherwise, it becomes an isolated solution which will not add much value to your overall processes and overall test automation and the test ecosystem, right? So I remember this like when I was talking to, as I said, this is not something and I was doing it, but this is something that my friends were doing it, but I used to see very closely and also was part of this process, the test automation, setting up test automation from scratch. Because of this being a developer, I had this curiosity why everyone is trying to build everything from scratch every time. So I still remember this analogy that I used to use, that for example, let's say when in my first company, I used to take about like 3 months to build a quick prototype of a web application. And when I was working on the HP, like the last company, it used to take like just weeks, right? Because there is so much advancement, and the technology and development side has advanced so much that like you can build a web application in a day, right? But that was not the case when you started, like in back in 2000, 7 or 6 when I started. But if you see the time that you spend to write a Selenium script is almost same. It has not changed much, right? So I don't see a big difference. Yes, it has been like 2x now, but development is 10x, right? So now the testing, like if the development is 10x, testing has to be 10x. Only then you will go in sync, right? Otherwise, it will become a
Absolutely.
bottleneck. I'm not just talking about automation testing in general, testing, right?
Yeah.
Be it the processes that we follow in testing, or be it the tools and processes that we use in test automation, or like all everything together. I mean to say, right? So it is not like, according to me, like it's not advanced. As I mean, it's not advanced to keep up with this the development speed. That's when I realized that I mean I would like to quote one more thing. Is something that is I mean I heard from, and when I was pitching this idea, some like one of my good well wisher told me this analogy that, like, let's say you have an iPhone 13 which is running with your iPhone first generation iPhone battery, right? No matter how much powerful your iPhone 13 is, like you need battery to run that, right? So
Yeah.
without that powerful battery, you cannot really use this iPhone 13, like even if it is super good, super powerful. And that's how I realized that, like, there needs to be a better solution or a process. Everything, as I said, like it is not just about test automation. It's overall the processes and the tools and the ecosystem has to get better. That's how we started TestSigma. That's when I realized, and then that thought, like, we need a better approach and better tools and processes.
I quite like this coming from an erstwhile developer.
Yeah.
Now, uh,
And one more thing, right? And one more thing. I'm sorry to cut you off, Brijesh. Like one more thing, right? And the testing, since you mentioned about the coming from a developer, right? So even now, this is the reality, right? And the developers were given an opportunity. Like every developer gets an opportunity to decide what they want. But whereas
right.
the test automation or a testing, right? They'll also go to the developers to ask them like, okay, can we use this tool for testing, right? Which is like not fair, I felt, right? And so that is also something that I would like to change now, that like the testers are like, I mean, I don't want to call it, the quality analyst should be given all that the power to choose what they want.
Do you realize that by saying all this, you are slowly trying becoming a hero within the testing community? Tomorrow you will see your posters being put.
Yes.
So
See, the testing, as I said, right, the testers are the QA has to earn the respect back, right? See, I've been a developer. I'll be very honest and open here in this public forum. I know I'm talking in public forum, but I'll tell you, right, I never I realized that the testing is really important until unless like I came across this idea and the problem, big problem, right? Because I always see that, okay, whatever I do is right. Whenever tester or anyone like the quality analyst comes to me with a bug, I would say like this is how it works, right? So I would say like I'll have a very strong argument saying that, okay, this is how it works. You go and do it, right? Test it. So that's not the right way. I feel like now, but back then, yes, that was my and trust me, it is same with every developer, right?
well, fun fact, and also a developer here as well. Okay, so I did Java development, okay, and I
Yeah,
did it for a very, very short period, 6 months.
yeah,
But
good.
the thing was, one fine afternoon, my then manager, he walked up to me and he said, "Hey, we need somebody to test. Why don't
Yeah.
you do it?" I said, I only know how to test my own code. Fortunately, I knew that much. And I said, no, it's much bigger than that. And you're right. When I started doing it, I realized that no, it is really something different. So from a developer's perspective, you don't realize it until you actually face the reality yourself. So yeah,
Yeah.
I can echo that absolutely. Now, you spoke about that you came up with certain challenges. So, what was that unique problem that you set out to solve with Test Sigma?
So there are many, right? And as I said, like it's it's about everything. But let me talk about one particular problem that you right and here. So we know that like we cannot solve all of them together. That's why we have an open source and community approach that I will talk about it in a while. But right now, the biggest problem, right, is unifying it, right? And we need two things. Like we just need to unify our approach. Like the testing is our the test. automation space or a testing space is so much fragmented that like everyone follows their own standard or everyone follows their own stack. There's not much standardization or a unification happened in this space. That's what we need to focus on now, and just set a standard so that you don't need to repeat your efforts or like waste your efforts again and again to set up things from scratch. So that is what is happening. You ask any test automation expert or a testing expert, so you would see a very different perspective like from everyone, right? So just need to bring a unification in or unified tools, processes, and everything, so that like we can all come together on a common agreement to make it better. So unless there is an agreement between all of us, like the testing community, I mean to say, right, it's very difficult to solve this problem at scale. So that is a problem. Everyone has a different I mean, I'm not saying like everyone should follow the same thing, but at least there should be a community, right? If it is a Selenium, yes, we should all stick to a Selenium. If it is Appium, we should all stick to Appium to kind of like see what are the problems. But there are so many, right? And there are so many approaches, so many things that we are not able to really conclude anything. We're just struggling to see what is right. So yeah, that's what I would like to see. Like, just come to an agreement and keep it very open and discuss and see what can be done to really solve this fragmented problem, right? And it's too much to
So,
really
so
solve.
you wanted to bring all the pieces of the puzzle together, if I may say.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so was it with respect to UI testing
Yeah.
or something deeper, or with respect to end-to-end testing? How was it? What
Both.
went through your head?
Yeah, both. I'll give you an example, right? Let's say now every company has. This is a very basic example, but there are like hundreds such cases. Like every company has heterogeneous I mean environments. Like they have web, mobile APIs, and then they start with functional regression, sanity, and so on, right? And then comes performance. And what, like when I say unified approach, right? And now there should not be a question about tools for each of the technology, because our end user journeys are going to be across all these applications. For example, let's say you have a e-commerce application, right? Let's say you take Amazon. Like when I am at work and I'll use my browser, and when I am on the go, I'll use my mobile to continue where I left. And then like there is a in between, there's the API to check the stock is available in there in the inventory, right?
Right.
So if there is no common approach to address or test this application or test this one end-to-end flow, like let's say if you have to follow Selenium for something, and if you have to follow Appium for something, and if you have to follow REST assured or whatever it is for something else, right? And then comes your procurement systems like SAP, Salesforce, and all that, like very different products altogether.
Yeah.
So end-to-end testing has become a must. Like if you are really talking about UI testing, we cannot just look at only web application, mobile application, API, and so on, right? So that's no longer there. So you're not achieving anything. But if that's your objective to test and silos, I would highly recommend them to use the unit testing itself. Stop it there. Don't waste your time, because that's not going to solve your problem, right? Your end-to-end testing has to be end-to-end, no matter what it is. So that is where the problem is now. It's completely spread across, right? As I said, like approach is different, technology is different. For mobile, you'll have to follow a different approach and different technology, different tools. And for web, it is different. For API, it is different. And the people that who work on these things are also different, right? And now we need one common agreed approach to address all this end to end, so that one person can really understand the use case. See, when you pass on information to do it in silos, right, and you would get only partial results, you cannot really expect this end to end result of this.
Right, right. So, talking a little more about end-to-end.
And sorry, Brijesh, like there was
Quite,
one more
quite.
question from you.
Yeah,
There was one more question I just wanted to add to this. So
please.
this is also functional testing, right? But it's not going to stop there, right? And we're not going to stop there, right? And there's like more, like your performance, load, accessibility. All of this has become a really a must or kind of a necessity for every company right now. Like now you have an asset, right? And your asset is your test scripts, right? The same script, if you really look into it, right, the same script can be used for other areas, other reasons as well, right? And be it load or performance, like I'm not saying like the same script, but at least it can be a base for your other activities as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And I was going to ask you, question regarding that down the line, which I will obviously ask you. So, when we look at the entire uh, plethora of market, when we look at the entire set of tools that is available, you see more than, I think I have listed more than 66 tools or something like that in the low code, no code test automation space.
Yeah.
So the question is, how did you arrive at your USP that this is going to be my USP? This is what is going to be the differentiator compared to the other tools that are there in the market.
Okay, so I'll take a step back right here. See, simplifying no code, low code, the main objective are like the goal is to simplify test automation, right? Or simplify the process of test automation.
Mhm.
According to me, are the reality also, right? And test, it's not about simplifying it. Test automation has been simplified enough already, right? Because what more we need more than like better than like there's nothing better than record and playback, right? So it's not about simplifying test automation. Record and playback has been there. No matter what logic or intelligence that we apply on top of it, it is not going to work, to be honest, right? Low code, no code is not about record and playback. I would like to clarify two things. And the second thing is, it's not about simplifying it. So it is like, why do we choose custom build stacks is because of the flexibility, because of the extendability that you would need, not just get, right, that we all need. Because test automation is a continuously growing requirement. For example, today you start with web, tomorrow it is going to be mobile, and within mobile, like, you will have 100 different areas to explore, right? The same tool may not be able to help you fulfill all of that requirements that you are going to see eventually. And at the same time, it is almost impossible for every any company to integrate. Like, let's say you go with one commercial no code or any no code automation testing tool. I call them pointed solutions, right? And you cannot integrate any of these two tools together to get this outcomes, right? And the desired outcomes, it is almost impossible. The reason is like, we some or the other way compete with each other, and then it's almost impossible. That is the reason why we choose open source custom build stacks. As I said, though it is complex, because that is the only scalable approach that we have, right? And as of today, as we speak, so what we are trying to do is like, as I said, like, simplification has been done, and there has been a very standard extendable frameworks that we all follow or that we all see. So we are trying to bring together, right, the simplicity of the record and playback tools and the extendability of what you get with the custom build stacks is what we have in our platform. It's like, it's as simple as like writing your scripts using record and playback, and extending is like very quick and very easy. All that you need to focus is on like what is very specific or unique to your requirement. You don't need to really worry about everything to set up everything from scratch. Let me put this way, right? 95% of your test automation setup would be ready from day one. That 5%, as and when you get into that situation, is what you need to extend or add to it, right? So that's how it is.
Okay, so I have a question already from Vicky
Yeah.
Desai. Vicky, wait for a little bit before I ask KR this question. But before that, I want to ask KR, what problems does Test Sigma solve for me?
For
What are the,
you.
yeah, for me as a tester, what are the problems it is solving for me?
So, okay, there are many, but I'll keep it to three at max, right? So
Okay,
you,
so yeah, three. Okay, I was going to say five, but let's settle with three.
okay, let's go with five, right? So
Okay.
one, like, let's go in the order of the problems that we have discussed. Like, we've been discussing many times, right? One, your initial time, cost, resources, right? It just works out of the box, right? The second biggest problem is your test development speed. Like, as I said, like, it's as simple as writing scripts with your scriptless or any of the record and playback tools, right? We use simple English based approach, but I'm saying like, it's as simple as like as fast as your the record and playback tools. The third important thing is like that we all know maintenance, right? So though we have AI, as I said, right, AI cannot solve all the problems, right? So I'll use a quick analogy here. So we all know that self-driven cars has been there for almost 20 years, right? And it's not even reality now, right? It's after 20 years, it's not in reality. It is going to take some time to get there, right? And I'm saying like, we need to be futuristic, but we need to work on the reality. The reality now is is autopilot or cruise mode, right? Means like you use the system where it is really ideal and take control where you can take or where you need to take control. That's what we follow, that philosophy, right? Yes, we have investor and we are investing in the future things like the completely making it completely autonomous. But right now our focus is on making this I mean like the auto cruise mode or this enabled. So that's what like we do have AI plus our simple like very like the reusability and all of that very standard stuff that what we follow in setting up a test automation framework, right? Is much simplified in Test Sigma. So your maintenance is like very simple and easy. So that's your third problem that we can solve. And the fourth problem is, as I said, right, and your tool chain is completely fragmented. You don't need to run around for like for multiple tools, right? And be it web, mobile, API, and this one question like the desktop-based applications, and everything is in one place. And you know what? Like you don't need different expertise altogether. The same developer or a same tester, right, or can write tests for all these application types, even for APIs. You don't need any technical expertise, and that's how it works. And the fifth one, we are trying to make test automation more inclusive, right? And than being an isolated solution, it integrates like with almost everything without any effort, right? And for example, I'll talk about one continuous feedback loop that we can create on this point. For example, let's say we have CI/CD integration is very standard. Let's say like we have it, right? But when there's a bug, there should be an intelligence to automatically classify it and categorize it, saying like it's a false failure and true failure. And if it is a true failure, then set up rules to file a bug automatically into your bug reporting systems. And when there's a fix, then you trigger executions back. All this intelligence should be there for in any automation testing I mean test automation ecosystem. So that's something that we can solve. So these are the five things. As I said, like there are many, but I just kept it to five. Hope that was helpful.
Yes, it was. So let's dive a little deeper into Vicky's question.
Yeah.
Vicky's asking, can we automate desktop-based applications using this tool?
Yeah. So yes, our open source, as I said, right, and we are a platform for web, mobile, API. We have selected five. I'll talk about like how can others add more to it and little later. So we have selected five application types to begin with. I'll talk about the vision also. We want to make this as an operating system for quality. Means it will have eventually have will have everything in built, right? And I have a quick slide also to share. Right now, our focus is on these five application types. Desktop is also one of them. And to add to this, right, and if you want to add more, like for example, we do have PDF, CSV, and all of that. I'm going to say like let's say Mac, right? And we don't have Mac yet, but
Mhm.
anyone can build on top of it. That's what I'm saying, right? Your desktop application testing would be 5% of your total test automation requirements, right? You don't need to worry about the 95%. It's already there, right? You just need to add your desktop capabilities on top of it. It's kind of like build like how you build or how you add more capabilities to your custom build stacks. It's very simple and straight. To answer to your question, Vicky, yes, we do have it, and you can also add more if you want.
Great. Okay. So another question off the top of my head. One of the common challenges that I have tried to address in multiple customers of mine, they say that they have challenge in automating image comparison.
Yeah.
Is there support for that with
Yes.
testing?
Yes. As I said, like we are going to be, and I mean, we already have it. The visual testing is also part of it, right?
Mhm.
So the same script can be used for your visual comparison also. It is just a toggle like option. It's as simple as like just select, okay, I want to do a visual comparison at this step, and your visual comparison will be done.
Great. So Vicky seems to be happy. So Vicky, you are going to try your hands on on
Yes.
uh, on TestSigma, which we always encourage because it is open source. So you can try. So yeah, before we proceed further, why don't you just show us around a little bit of what the tool is and how can somebody get started? So if I have to suppose get started with TestSigma, what do I need?
Sure. So there are a couple of options. I'll because now our focus is on open source, right? And I'll walk you through here. So we do have a repository. It is just TestSigma. You can go to GitHub and search for TestSigma, and you'll get it. And there's a very detailed instructions on how can you set up on your local machines. And if you think that like you don't want to spend time on this, you can just directly deploy to our TestSigma cloud, which is one-click deployment. And once you click on it, and you'll be taken to this page. Enter your details, and we will deploy one TestSigma instance for you and give you access to use the platform. So for now, what I'll do is like I'll be using one of our existing systems, and I'll not take much time. I'll just very quickly walk you through how the test would look like, right? And so here's where you manage all your projects. As I said, like we do support like multiple project types or application types, and I'm going to create. Um, let's see, these are the application types you see here, right? And web application, mobile web, Android native, iOS native, RESTful, and desktop Windows. Right now, that's what I said. Like right now, we do have Windows. We are working on Mac as well.
You
If
are
you are
making Vicky very happy. You're making Vicky very happy. I can tell you this.
yeah. So, and one more thing, you can also contribute to it. That's a beauty with this project. Like we are doing our job. Like I would request you also to be to participate. And if you are interested, you can just. There are multiple ways in which you can participate. You can share your ideas, requirements, and we'll work on it. Or if you want to work on it, you can also start working on this project to build these things. I'll keep it to web for now, or let me cancel this because I just in the interest of time, I'll show you a couple of tests that we already have in the system. For example, let's say there's a sample website that we had built for our own testing. I'm going to walk you through a couple of tests to show you how those tests would look like. For example, Amazon application. This is how it is, like navigate to Amazon, like click on something, enter. So there are multiple ways you can just start typing your actions you want to perform. This complete reusability, everything is taken care. I'm not getting into the demo details here. And so with cloud, you get an advantage of using our own devices to run the test cases. Um, for example, let me use one quick slide for you. This is how we set up our stacks, right? Like we choose programming language, and then we choose tools, frameworks. Visual testing is was is your question, because that has kind of a default requirement for almost all the stacks now.
Mhm.
And then we need test management, and then we need infrastructure to run the test cases, and then we build our own reporting analytics, and then integrations with other tools in the ecosystem. All of this can be replaced with just one simple scalable test automation platform, and it enables everyone. Here if you see, you need multiple experts and multiple tools and different experts to do all of this, and here it enables everyone to test without writing any code, right?
Mhm.
And so you can plan, as I said, like there's a test management. You can plan, design, develop, execute, because you get a platform as well, like browser stack, and report and integrate with other tools in the ecosystem. So these are the okay, to recollect, reiterate here, Brijesh, like these are the five things that I was talking about. The
Yeah, yeah.
works out of the box, scriptless. It's A about maintenance, and it can just scale on the cloud. No. I mean, if you are choosing cloud, but open source is very different, and it's uniquely customizable. Like unlike any other scriptless or no code automation testing tools, you get that power to scale or customize your platform as you want. Good.
All right. So, okay, thank you for walking us through. There is next question. This is from Ahilesh. And Ailesh asked, how about computer vision? Do you have any plans on that? As that still has many clients have their applications hosted on Citrix. Now, this is an interesting one because you have Citrix or similar environments hosting a lot of applications. How about that?
So computer vision, like as I said, right, it's a progressive. I was just reading about this KPMG and the SNOSCOM report about this testing tools, and I would highly recommend everyone to go through this, and a lot of very good insights about the testing approaches and tools that we currently have in the market. Yes, we are definitely progressing. I mean to say, when we say we, a testing community, because we are here as a community, right? The testing community is progressing a lot in this direction to make it better, right? And bring all of this like intelligence and computer vision and AI, right? Right now, as I said, like our focus is on, like we have selected three major areas to focus with respect to that AI and ML, like the deep tech. One of them is auto healing. As I said, like we all know, auto healing has been like there, and it's really important. We are just continuing our efforts to make it even better. The second area is like auto regressions. Auto regressions, I mean, like we all know that like whenever there's a change in application, we spend a lot of time to build a plan to cover this affected areas, right? So the idea here is like once we have all the tests inbuilt, we will be able to tell you like what tests that you need to run to do 100% test coverage on a feature change or on any change on your application. So that's where we use AI, and we try to understand your application like completely end to end, and also we'll use some inputs whatever you give, and to come up with the regression plans or the test plans that you need to consider to avoid any potential risks. And the third area is like visual testing. So these are the only three areas that we have chosen as of now, and as we grow, yes, we will get into the other areas as well.
So yeah, and Ahilesh, like I was saying earlier, this is open source.
Yes.
You can contribute. Okay,
Yes.
you can not only try this for your testing purposes, but also can contribute
Yes.
by suggesting changes, by trying, by experimenting a bit. Okay, and KR and his team are there to support you
Yes.
the best way that they can.
Yeah.
Okay, I move on to the next question, and I believe this is from
To
Seema.
add to that, Brijesh, to add to that, like, see, to solve this massive problem, right? And it's a very long tail and massive problem. Like, as I said, like, it's fragmented only because there are too many problems to solve and everyone has their own problem, right? So it need, like, we all need to come together, and it has to be in, the collective approach to solve this problem. And that is why we are keeping it open source, because so that like we can all come together and discuss the problems and try to solve one at a time. And very soon we'll get a very good massive platform like for all the testing requirements.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, all right. So this is a very interesting question coming from Seema, and she's asking, how would you convince automation engineers to use TestSigma instead of building a framework from scratch?
That shift has been I think that shift is already happening. You don't like I mean, it used to be very hard. Now I don't think that like it's that difficult to convince an automation engineer. If you see the browser stack report, the browser stack recently ran a survey to browser stack users, right? They would be like mostly automation engineers and developers. 70% of them said like it is not a small sample as well, like it is like a really large sample, like about like 7,000 automation engineers said that like I mean opted to go with no code automation testing solutions. Only 30% to say are saying like yeah, they want to build on their own. So that is already happening, so we don't need to worry much about it. Or if you really want to like convince these people, ask them to show ROI on whatever they are doing. A simple thing, right? And so the quality, and one more thing, right? Their objectives are very different, right? You are responsible as a quality analyst. You are responsible for the quality of your application. They are not. That's very like I would say like I don't agree with that. If they are doing something to improve the quality, their KPIs, right? For example, like what would be an KPI for an automation engineer? Like the number of scripts, the stability of the scripts. All that they should be worrying about is the stability of the product, not the script, right? So the moment it goes wrong, and they'll see like look into their scripts, not the application. That's not like right. So just like see how many bugs that you are filing. I mean that they are finding, and I mean you don't need to get into that fight. As I said, like that shift is already happening. We'll just have to wait and watch. They'll realize. They'll not be able to get up to the speed. That is one big problem with the other custom build stacks. So that you can get with TestSigma kind of a product. I'm not trying to sell TestSigma. I'm saying like the TestSigma kind of a products, right? If it is scalable, see, even record and playback is good. The only problem that we see with the record and playback is they don't scale, right? And that's the only problem. Because test automation is not just about actions; it is about your user journeys, right? And that's it's very different from what you do with the current
I
solution.
want to extend that question a little further, the one that Seema has just asked. And I want to extend it a little further and ask you, KR. Okay, so we have seen that there has been a rise in the number of low code, no code tools in the market in the past couple of years, maybe. Okay, and like I was saying, I have myself counted around 65. I've been doing some sort of a research in the background, uh, try getting my hands dirty on some of them. Okay, trying to get a feeler, see, and I will publish a list pretty soon when I'm convinced that okay, this is what it is. And parallelly, there are other people also who are doing research, and we are trying to collaborate with each other. That is also in the works. But having said that, what we find as a problem is that the adoption rate of these tools is still very low, number one. Number two, it is difficult to convince the stakeholders that these tools will really bring in value because they've heard all this while about Selenium, Appium being the easiest set. So let's get started with that and let's build on top of it. Okay. Number three is the thing that Seema just spoke about convincing the automation engineers because they would want a lot of flexibility in the things that they want to do. Okay, as a developer or even as an automation engineer myself, if I want to think of solving a problem, I'd say, okay, let me write my own code, let me build my own framework, okay, before I venture into something else. I know there may be a solution with TestSigma. Before I try that, let me try and build something on my own because that is the instinct in me. Okay, and coming from a developer background, you will understand this.
Yeah,
Instinctively, people tend to go towards a custom solution rather
yeah,
than something like this. So, how do you convince? How do you convince the stakeholders? How do you convince the automation engineers that this
exactly.
is going to make a difference?
Exactly, that's my point as well, right? You cannot go to these people with a pointed solution. You need an extendable platform, let me call this way, right? You cannot convince these people with a tool or a software. You need a platform to convince. You tell them that here is a platform I can build much faster than what you can build, right? And or you can also build on top of it. As you rightly said, it's not about the no code or low code, right? And it's all about the flexibility. I mean, you are on it, right? And you nailed it. So it's all about the extendability, and the customizations that they get. Options that they get with the custom built frameworks. So that's what you get with Test Sigma, right? And convincing them would be like much easier with Test Sigma because it is a open source platform. You don't like it, anything like like as a developer, right? And even and like let me give you one more example. Like there are two ways to build a mobile application: using the native Java program or using this React native kind of a libraries, right? I would go and like now I used to write with a native code, native libraries. Now I'm using React native libraries, and there are like Flutter and all, like, which is making it even better, right? Even simpler. As a developer, right? I'm not saying that okay, I want to use only native, right? No, I am using React native and Flutter because that is making my life easy. Second thing is now I can focus and spend my time on the really important things, right? And the really business logic than like building these components, right? That is what we need to tell them. Yes, it is all about like now we have a platform like React native, right? And so that is also one of the examples that I would like to quote here, right? And you see the developments happened in this development dev space, right? Like we used to write only Java and only in Java. Now there are like so many. We have React, Angular, Vue.js, and Flutter, and like many other stuff for development. We are still stuck in Selenium, right? Like for last 20 years almost. Like if you are talking about to say the custom build stacks. Otherwise, there are a lot of no code tools, but as you rightly said, like they don't scale. Like even I'm not believing in it, right? I'm not saying that we should embrace no code, low code. Yes, if it can work, if we can make it work, they are the best options. And one more thing, right? Every 2 decades, the processes and technologies will change for sure, right? No matter what. And we have seen those 2 decades with the test automation or the testing space. And now it is a time for change, and it is going to change. And take my word, and next year you will see everyone saying yes to no code or low code. Just that you need a right platform to convince these people. Like you tell them that you're not losing your power, you are getting more power to do much better things than what you are doing currently.
Okay, thank you for that elaborated answer. Here's an interesting one from Ahilesh again. How does Test Sigma, or how is Test Sigma able to compete being open sourced with licensed no code, no code solutions like UiPath, AxleQ, etc., who also offer end to end scalable platforms?
Okay, so one more, I mean, to add to this, right? And I will not give you a direct answer, but I'll tell you like what is the reality, right? The market is massive. Like every software, like company would need a test automation platform. Even if I'm not saying like the UiPath or Axel Q is good or bad, I'm saying like even if they take a significant amount of market share, we will still have enough to go after. And as I said, like we at this point in time, we are not worried about selling it, right, and being open source. That is also one of the reasons, right? We want to build a platform. That's what we are here for, and eventually it will happen. And there are like a lot of business models that we can figure it out later on. Right now our focus is on building the platform and getting more customers using our platform and getting more contributions from the QA community to make it like better than any other automation testing tools out there. So with respect to that competition, as I said, like the market is very big. Like it's much bigger than a CRM market. Like, it's $100 billion market, right? So to become a public limited company, we just need to be like in top 10 or 100, right? Even if we are in top 100, we will be $1 billion company if you are not worried about that. If we just get it right, we will get there for sure.
So I want to again extend this question a little more. So when you started Test Sigma, did you have the vision of going open source one day?
To be honest, no, like any other company, right? And it is a not, I don't call it a realization or pivot. It is the need, right? It is a need that we have seen in the market. Uh, one, I mean, as I said, right, and 2 years back, it was not the case, right? And there was no believers for open, no code, low code, or a scriptless automation testing tool. Now it is changing, as I said. But back then, to convince these users or to build the trust that like, okay, so we are better, like as a developer or automation engineer, right? And as a developer, I know, I believe what I see it, right? That is the reason why we went open source, because we are telling them, you see how we had built, see the quality of work that we are doing, and see whether you can really use this platform and dig deep, understand whether this can solve your automation requirements at scale or not, right? And that is the reason why we went open source. We realized that there's a need to go open source, and we did.
Excellent. Well, again, there is a question from Seema, and this is something that even I wanted to ask you. Will experience of using low code automation tools be recognized as a skill when looking for a job? That's a question.
Absolutely.
That's a question that many people have, because I spoke to you about the adoption,
Yeah.
okay, and awareness about these low code tools. One of the questions that I get from people is, how do I get a job if I show something like Test Sigma or Test Project on my CV?
See, we are functional experts, right? I mean, that's a problem that we see here, right? And we are kind of mixed up two things, right? One, like let the developers or programmers do their job, like whatever they are good at, and we are functional experts. Like Sima, like if you are talking about the software engineers at test, so that is a different story altogether. We'll talk about that. But if you are a quality analyst, right, and if you are a functional expert, right, that's what you should be really focusing on. And these tools, these kind of a tools make you better, right, on both the sides, right? Like you can be a very good functional expert or a quality analyst, and at the same time think about your automation and I mean improving the quality and overall using this tool. So if you are an SDET, right, and if you are an SDET, as I said, like these no code, low code testing tools will not solve the problem 100%, as I said, right? It needs a significant amount of extendability and I mean extensions and customizations on top of whatever the companies to offer. So that is where you play a significant role. It's not that it's end of career for SDETs. Yes, I don't think any no-code, low-code test automation tool, including TestSigma, can solve all the test automation problems. That is where an SDET can really play a big role than what they used to be. Like SDET, like now, I don't know why we are still worried. Right now, if you take, right, SDETs are writing scripts, like the same click function you write 100 times, right? So it is not going to add like a lot of value. Whereas you think about how to build the systems and extend and scale the system, right, the platform. So that is where Test Sigma kind of a product can really help you, make you better as an SDET, right? And at the same time, for quality analysts, now they can focus on both, like automation and the functionality and I mean, like their domain expertise. It will definitely make both the parties better, 100%.
Okay, excellent. All right. So I want to go to the next question, and people are asking the questions that I had on my list. Well, so Faiz is asking, since TestSigma already supports API testing automation, any plans to extend that capability for performance testing or with different types of monitoring metrics and reports?
Yeah, I do have a very quick slide which I'm going to show you. This is our vision, right, and operating system for quality. You see Test Sigma as a platform on top and the bottom, and we do have web, mobile, API, desktop, and so on. Like we can, anyone can extend for more action, more capabilities. For example, PDF, Excel, shell scripts, and lot. I mean, we do have 100 different extensions on top of it. And now, like the Salesforce Coupa kind of
Are
applications.
you are you sharing your screen? Yeah.
Yes, yes, I did. Oh, you're not seeing it? Okay.
No, not yet.
Can you see it now?
Mm, yes.
So this is what I was talking about, the Plastigma platform, and then you see these application types: web, mobile, API, desktop, and so on. And then we can automate packaged apps like Salesforce. This, I mean, you can leave this one, but I'm saying like this can be your process automation tool as well. Once you have capabilities to automate these things, and then like we do have a inbuilt test management. You don't need to really go out for test management, and we have API testing, and we are adding more unit testing modules as well, and then inbuilt test lab. Once you have all of that, now after that, like we'll start working on these things: security, accessibility, load, performance. Sorry, load is repeated here, but yeah, so all this type of testings can be done. That's why we call it an operating system for quality. We'll have everything inbuilt eventually.
Excellent. There's another one from Seema, and she's asking, lastly, according to you, what is required to make use of a low-code tool a success?
Required to keep it open, like what we are like, it has to be a community approach, as I said, right? And every company has a very unique problem to solve in test automation. That's why we see like so many tools and so many approaches and so many frameworks. And at the same time, that uniqueness is only about 5%. If you keep your platform open to accommodate that 5% changes, that will be a successful tool.
Yeah, actually, yes. In the research that even I am carrying out, what I discovered is that all these tools actually set out to solve unique problems.
Yeah,
Okay, and in trying to do so separately, because they all attempted to do the same thing in silo,
yeah,
there are many for the same solution,
yeah.
and there are only a few which are actually dealing with unique problems.
Yes,
Okay, and even now you see more and more coming up in that direction because they don't know what the other one is doing. Now, as they reveal their product, they suddenly realize, oh, that guy is also doing the same stuff.
same stuff.
And this is becoming a good competition, in a way. Uh, and some products offer certain very interesting features over others, but what it also does is it puts a challenge for the test engineers to sort of pick and choose which one they want to best suit their needs. Okay, and then again the question comes, okay, what knowledge do I need to have to deal with that problem, right? So anyways, Ailesh has this question for you. Open source lacks community support except Selenium. How is the community support for Test Sigma? Now, I have a few things to say, but Kian, I'll let you drive this one.
So we do have support. See, we are just like very new, right? And we are like little over 2 years now. But we have got like very good support from communities so far. Yes, GitHub. There are two ways to look at it. If you are talking about the developer community, there are two things in community, right? One is participation and contribution, right? The participation will be more in dev communities, and sorry, contribution will be more in dev communities, but participation is more in QA communities where people participate but they don't contribute. So that is a challenge that we have. But like as I said, like we do have participants who share their data and requirements and everything. We are looking for contribution as well, but that will happen like by as I said, like it's a problem in the community or in the domain itself. Like the QS, we cannot expect QS to contribute, right? Because their expertise is very different, right? As I said, like the functional they're functional experts. How can we expect them to contribute to build the products, right? And then they are here to find faults. That's what we are getting, right? So participation is there, like really good participation. Contribution we'll see as we go along.
I want to extend to what you were saying, KR,
Yeah, yeah,
and what I have observed in my experience is that even if we try our hands on certain tool, okay, we try, we experiment, we do a POC with that tool, okay, we run into issues. We don't always go and provide feedback
yeah,
to the vendor that is offering that tool.
yeah,
That is something that I have realized. I have been guilty of doing that, and that is why I bring it
yeah.
on the table. Okay, looking at it, this one and the previous one, the questions that Ahilesh and Seema have asked, how can we make it a success? And how is the community contributing? Community contribution is the key to success for the
Yes.
low-code tools, or for that matter, any tool for that matter. In fact, okay. So if we do a POC, and if we run into a bottleneck, and if it doesn't solve our problem, then are we going back to the vendor and telling them that, you know what, this is what I was looking to solve, I'm not able to solve, can you do some changes so that it can help me? you know that kind of a thing. Feedback is one thing. Secondly, if you are trying to build your functions, okay, trying to extend the library which is existing, or
Mhm.
which the tool is offering, okay, and you're trying to create something for your purpose, contribute, add it to the list so that others also can benefit from
Yeah, true.
it, right? So, and wherever there is opportunity with open source, I think there is a lot of room for experimentation. let's
Lot of
let's look let's look at the Selenium community, for example, right?
yeah.
Yeah, Kier, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, so yeah, that's what, right? And you're right. Like we are like we hesitate, right? And as a community, we hesitate to share the feedback. So there are two reasons, right? Now that these are vendor backed tools, we don't feel that like we want to give it back, right? We want to share anything. If it works, it works. If it is not working, yes, no tool will work 100% from day one, like including TestSigma, right? And that's where the feedback needs to come from the community and people using it. And fortunately, we have got like very good number of customers, like thousands of customers, to be honest, right? And to share all that feedback, because as I said, like our journey is very different. Like we choose open source, or we released open source after having a few hundreds of customers, right? And because of that, like we were able to get that going and was able to get to the stage as we are today. So to solve this problem, right, and we do two things. One, we have an internal community only between our customers using our product in real world, in the real projects. And then we do have a Discord community completely open, and who wants to go public and talk about it, and we let them do there. So these are the two ways that we have to engage and to discuss about any problems that you come across. And here, right, and there is no obligation. Like for example, what happens, like when you are when you are evaluating a vendor tool, you might be afraid that okay, if you go reach out to them and they'll be behind you to buy the product, right? So what is the status and what is happening? And also like you don't feel comfortable because you don't know whether you want to buy it or not, right? So that is the reason why we keep it, I call it like the open culture, right? And you it is open, like if nobody would come and ask you like what is the status, right? If you have a problem, you go and post it and you would get an answer. If nobody is answering, our team will answer and help you set up all of that. And eventually like you, when you like it, only then you can say like, yeah, whom can I connect, or if you want more help from test segment, all of that can be done. But it happens in complete transparency so that people can feel comfortable and share their feedback happily.
There's some remark from Vicky, and he's got some nice things to say. Thank you, Vicky, for that. I will just complete. This was in three parts because the comment box only allows a certain number of characters. So, moving on. So we've seen some good things about Test Sigma. Now, I don't know how you want to deal with this, but I'm very curious, and I want to know what are your future plans? What are the new new features you're going to bring in? I know you don't want to open all your cards at once, but can we get a sneak
Yes.
peek?
Yeah, so definitely, right. And see, one more thing, like very soon, to break this myth, also that like we cannot reveal and we cannot build and build a completable product. Yes, we can. Very soon, probably next month onwards, we are going to run our sprints and our roadmap and everything publicly. Means like we are going to push our roadmap into GitHub projects or GitHub projects, and also the sprints that we are running internally. You will see that happening in the public from next week onwards. So that's what it's all about, building trust, right? Once we all feel that it's our product, everyone will contribute and take this to the next level. That's what we're going to do. And to answer to your question right now, yes, there will be few things that we will not disclose until we finalize. So that I will anyway not discuss. But like the interesting things that we are working on, as I said, like some of these really good AI capabilities. As I said, like auto regressions are still in early stage. We are really working hard on this, and the visual testing is already there. We are trying to now. What we do is like you can really do the same testing, the functional testing, in two ways. One, you can write your scripts to automate your flows, and you can also use the same flow to validate visually. That is separate. But now you can combine these two into for example, sometimes your element will not be identifiable, but your visually it would be same, right? We'll use that visual results, right, visual comparison results as a fallback to really pass your scripts or evaluate your test scripts. So that is an interesting thing to avoid a lot of false failures at element level. As I say, like no matter what kind of AI that, like whatever AI that we use, if your framework, like for example, if you are moving from Angular to React, we cannot do anything with AI, right? You need something of base, right? So that is where the fallback visual testing as a fallback option to functional testing would really help you reduce all such errors, and you don't need to spend a lot of time, hell amount of time there. And desktop testing, we don't have it, we are adding it. API testing, we don't have it, we are adding it now in our open source project as well. And the couple of interesting things, now end-to-end testing is possible within a test plan. We are trying to bring that end-to-end testing, like the example that I told you, Amazon example, right? You navigate to browser and then do certain actions, 2 3 actions, and then move back to your mobile phone and log in with the same user. All of these things can be done in one single test case, right? And that would save a lot of time. You don't need to worry about setting up a separate test cases, test plans, and all of that. So there are a lot of interesting things that we are working on. And test management as one more interesting thing, like the test management is also a big problem in this space. Like we don't know which tool to use, right? So we are going to create a open source test management platform like Jira, right? And like Jira, it would be Jira X-Ray. I would say like Jira X-Ray would be open source very soon from our side.
Excellent. Well, so I want to ask you one question. We have all spoken about integration with CI/CD framework, doing something with performance, doing something with security. How about reporting? Okay, because that is one element we have to focus on, because when we
Yeah.
do testing, whether it is using tools or without tools, reporting is one key element, key aspect which tells our customers
Yeah,
how things have gone with our testing.
yeah.
So, what kind of reporting does TestSigma already support, and what are your plans for further integration or improvements?
Sure. So we would like to own the reports completely in-house, and we are not planning to integrate with any other tools out there until it is really required. But we do have APIs for all kinds of reports. One interesting thing that I would tell you, right? So reports should give you an actionable action. I mean, should be able to like, help you take some actions, right? Even after seeing like hundreds of data points, and if you're not able to decide and take an action immediately then and there, it is not going to solve anyone's problem. So we call it actionable reports. Any report that you see will come with an action to perform to fix it immediately, right? If it is a false failure, it will tell you like, okay, 10 different things that we'd have tried to identify or isolate this failure, and we'll give you an action how to fix it. So that is on the low level reports. And high level, as I said, like for example, let's say if there's a failure, right? You don't need to run like all 100 and 1,000 tests to see like what are the affected areas of this test, right? And let's say if it is a valid failure, you should not be going through all other test cases to reconfirm it, right? The mission or the system should be able to tell you like, okay, because of this failure, these are the other 100 affected test cases, right? So that's where we use analytics. We are trying to build an analytics around this failures to help you reduce your time execution times, and also your debugging time, and there's a lot of stuff. And when I say reports, we are trying to categorize these reports into three levels. One, the stakeholder reports, where it is very high level, where it would be like, okay, whether I can release or not, right? So that it would be that simple, right? Looking at that report, you will be able to decide whether I can release this product today, or should I spend more, or should I test one more time. So there's a second level report, your managerial reports, where you see little more in detail, like, okay, which modules are breaking and where it is breaking and why it is breaking, and also see whether these are like the really critical failures. Like this will help you take little more informed decisions on this. Like if you get into that next level, for example, let's say your coverage is 90%, but 90% is good. Like if your failures are only in minor or corner cases, you would still be okay to go ahead, right? So those kind of a things that will help you. TestSigma will help you take the decisions without any effort and time from your side. The last level reports that we see is like the end user reports, where you need more details in more everything in detail. For example, if there's a failure, you should know like where is the failure and what are the actions that we performed and when did we perform and where did we perform, like which test machine or a test device that we have used, and what is the network level data, like whether there's any network failures or console failures, or like, and then it will also help you with the evidences like the screenshots, video recordings, logs, and everything. So whatever a developer would need or a tester would need to understand, debug, and fix the failures will be available for end users. So these are the three levels or three types of reports that we are building. And the analytics, as I said, like there's a lot that we are doing on the analytics side, like which will help you reduce your time significantly.
So, would we get to see any AI in action with your analytics? Some predictive analysis going on in
Yes.
terms of points of failure and defect clusters and so on and so forth.
Exactly, that's why, right? The analytics is going to be like a really, really good. You will see it like in next 1 or 2 months time, not even 1 month. I think very soon. It will be like mind blowing. I'm telling you, right? And you don't need to spend time to. You don't need to debug, or you don't need to dig deep into get that. I mean, that's what we all do, right? As a test managers, like as a head of quality, right? So that's what we do. Whatever you do manually will be completely automated using all that intelligence that we are trying to build.
Good way to get you to spill the beans.
Anyway, as I
Uh,
said, like it's open source, right? And even if I had it now and tomorrow you will see it, not just like how to use it, not just like how to use it, like including the technology and how we built, right? And everything is open. So yeah,
right,
I'm
right,
not worrying much about it.
right. Well, Ahilesh, I think this is a question for me more than you, KR. How about organizing hackathons using TestSigma? along
Yeah,
with
I
the
would
tester
love to.
community. Well, I can say this much that something is in the works, Eilish. Just be a little patient. You will hear something soon. Okay, and
Great.
and we don't do usual hackathons, so you know what I'm talking about. But just be patient. Something is cooking. Okay, so
Great.
well, Test Sigma upcoming features seem to be really exciting. Looking forward to it. Thanks, KR, for working hard to support us. Well, it's been more than an hour, and I am really thankful to you, KR, for giving me this time,
Pleasure.
giving all of us this time. And I want to thank the audience for sticking around. Some really good questions, some really good feedback, some great interaction. Uh, I'm excited about Test Sigma. I've been trying it hands on. Okay, I've been dealing with it for quite some time. I've seen the improvements. I've seen the product go from, you know, in the box to an open source
Yeah.
thing. Great journey. Congratulations to you, KR, and to your team for that. Uh, and you know, all the links that KR was mentioning about the Discord channel, everything is there in the description of the video, so you can go and check that. Once again, like KR said, if you try it out hands on, don't be afraid of giving your
Yeah.
feedback. Okay, contribute as much as you can as testers in terms of coming up with new ideas. Now you know how to reach KR, so you can definitely reach out to him. Okay, and or you can let me know and we can get you connected with KR, and have fun with Test Sigma is what I will say. What do you say,
Yeah.
KR?
Yes, absolutely. And thanks for having us, having me here, Brijesh. And it's really an opportunity for us, like for Test Sigma, to come here and present to all of you and whatever you are working on. And thanks for all the feedback, audience, and also Brijesh. Like this, like I mean, as I mean, I mean, for the audience, like we've been discussing for a while, as Brijesh said, we've been like on this almost for more than 2 3 years now, and there's been like super good feedback from Brijesh. We always liked it, and a lot of that you see in the product is a big Brijesh
True,
contribution as well. So we
true, true.
had we had multiple calls, and we did couple of webinars as well before. Yeah, so whenever we talk, there is something to take from Brijesh and audience as well. Because great work, Brijesh.
Thank you so much, KR, for being so kind. Thank you so much, audience. Wonderful having you on the show. Well, this is on YouTube, so you want to catch up, go through it again. Feel free, share it with your friends. Try Test Sigma as much as possible. And like I said, something is cooking with Test Sigma, so you will hear more from us. Thank you,
Great.
KR. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have
you
a
all. Take
wonderful
care.
rest of the evening or rest of the day, wherever you are.
Thank
See
you.
you guys.
See you. Bye bye.